Oh, 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 it's magic! No, it's not. It's Ewan. Hey, oh, cunts. Piss, poo, shit balls, big fart dicks. Piss all over my hairy tits. Hey! Squadda-gap-bap-a-diddle-a-doo, squid-and-liddle-a-nan-nan-ga-noo. Etc., etc. Something, something, something. Your mother's a whore. And I'll kiss all of you lovingly and deeply. I have to do that now because, see, everyone has to make their videos super monetizable, and so they don't swear or say anything bad in the first however many seconds of the video, 10 or 30 or some amount of seconds, lest the YouTube lords demonetize a video. Oh no, can't have that. And so, if that's what everyone's doing, we have to stay non-conformist. We have to conform to our non-conformity and hereby fill the first chunk of the video with as much swears as possible. Ass, dick, poo, tits, shit, piss, fart, nips, cunt, 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 squits. Squits is a term for the diarrhea, isn't it? Squits, got the squits. It's like squids, but oh, did you see Squid Game season 3? Oh, and how they're almost certainly setting up to have a US version, which will be really cool to have loads of American actors go over the top drama about, oh no, my family, I've got to win the game for my family. Yeah, that would be really cool. Oh, there's this amazing, groundbreaking Korean show that's been made. Let's remake it with American actors. What could be better than that? Think how much money we'll stand to make from bloody that. Cunt, shit, poo, piss. Murder everybody. I've been watching something quite different lately. I've been watching videos of people camping. Bit weird and different, isn't it? It's a bit odd, bit out of the ordinary shit I normally waste my time with. Specifically, individuals who go camping alone. Not all of them, but some of them, they often do, which is pretty much newly discovered to me. I think I was aware that it happened, but I've only really just discovered it on YouTube as like a thing. Stealth camping. Camping stealthily. Where they'll, the person or persons, the people who make these videos, will go somewhere, often in like an urban environment, or like a heavily built up, populated environment, and camp there somewhere, but hidden stealthily. Like sometimes on a roundabout in amongst busy roads, there'll be bushes and trees, and they'll like crawl in during the day with all their gear and then set up a little campsite, but try to be as stealthy as possible and not be seen. And they'll leave the campsite to like look at it with the camera and stuff to see if they can see their camp or whatever with a light. And they'll cook a little meal while they're there and, you know, sleep there for the night, wake up in the morning, clear up their camp and leave. And it's a pretty cool little thing. It's a little bit nerdy, but no, it is cool. I genuinely, I think it's really cool. Like if you're into like camping and stuff, that's a really cool thing to do, to actually go out and I mean, camping alone is pretty scary anyway. I don't know if I'd want to camp in an urban environment alone, especially not in the areas I grew up in and or have lived in. I'd love to see somebody try to stealth camp in the fucking estates and shit that I grew up around. You'd wake up in the middle of the night to your tent being set on fire while you're in it. And then you'd get fucking bottled and knifed and have all your shit taken. Anything that didn't burn up anyway. But, you know, props to these people for doing it. I think it's a really cool thing to do. And it is. I find it genuinely interesting to watch. Oh, where are they going this time? Oh, what kind of space are they going to camp in? How are they going to stealth themselves? What's the meal going to be? Is it going to be a quick little thing or a more labour-intensive meal? Lots of little bits to it. Are they going to sleep covered up, or are they going to sleep just out in the open? Are they going to have a tent or like a tarp over, or a hammock? Are they going to have a hammock? There's a lot to it, and I appreciate it. But my only, it's not even a problem. It's kind of a gripe, I guess. Whatever the fuck that means. Let's Google the word gripe. Let's find out what the fuck a gripe is. Gripe, like ripe, but with a G. That's how I like my fruit. I like my fruit gripe. That's stupid, Ewan. Shut up. Jump in front of a train. Complain about something in a persistent, irritating way. Okay, no, so as a verb, to gripe is to complain about something in a persistent, irritating way. However, as a noun, it is known as a minor complaint. Which, yeah, that fits completely. So a slight gripe I have about the stealth camping thing. A minor complaint. And it's not even, I mean, even a complaint is too strong a word. It's just a point of note. Something I note while watching these is some of them will have, you know, they'll be out maybe in areas they're maybe not necessarily supposed to be camping in. I don't know if it's like illegal or it's just trespassing or whatever. But they come up with what they would use as a story to tell whoever it was who caught them camping. What they'd say, I was just bird watching and that's why I've got all this camera equipment and whatever. There's a rare nighttime bird that I'm looking for. Or I'm a park ranger and I'm watching out for poachers or something. Like they have, like depending on where they're going, what they're doing, they'll come up with some sort of, and they'll say this to the camera while, you know, they're making all their videos. They'll come up with a yarn to spin to explain why they are where they are doing what they're doing. Which is, like, ultimately, that's why it's not a complaint, because I get it. It's part of the game. Like, doing this, I don't know, urban camping, stealth camping, it's a thing. It's a thing you do, but it's a game, you know. The aim is to not get caught, and if you get caught, you lose. Which is like graffiti in that way. Graffiti is a game in that respect. You got to do it as much as possible, get your name up as much, as big, as wide, as vastly as possible, and if you get caught, you lose the game. So you do everything in your power not to get caught, because you don't want to lose the game, because that's shit. Just like now, if I tell you lost the game, the ones of you who know what the fuck that means will know, haha, you've lost the game. So I completely get it. It's just a part of that game is coming up with, it's like a D&D character's backstory. It's like it doesn't really matter because you can just play the character however, but you come up with a backstory for why you're out doing your weird little silly little camping games. Which I say that mockingly, but I mean it in a fun way, because again, I enjoy these videos. I enjoy the idea. I like camping. I've always loved camping. I have a lot of great stories I've told about going on youth camps in my days going to church and whatnot. Penis. And so seeing these videos is fun. It's good fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy the whole thing. But so here's my gripe, I guess, if you want to call it such, is if you're out camping somewhere, you get caught camping somewhere, why can't your excuse, your reason, your story be, I was camping here and making a video about camping here? Like, if you get caught camping, sure, saying I was trying to look at a bird, surely that's just as, or to say that, or to say I was just camping. I was just out camping because I like camping and I thought, let me see if I can camp here, and I'm making a video about it. That's just as valid a thing to say. Maybe for the layman, the general passerby, maybe they wouldn't necessarily get it. But, you know, fuck them. Just, I think it's just part of my like whole, you know, it just honesty and being genuine. Like, not that it's necessarily actively dishonest, but in a way it kind of is, because you're telling lies to excuse your behaviour when you really shouldn't have to. You can just say, if you get caught camping on a fucking lay-by behind a billboard where maybe you're technically not allowed to camp if they don't have free camping rules or whatever, then you can just say, oh, I was just camping out to see if I could make a video about it. And I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that, you know, because then maybe that undoes your whole thing. If you get caught, they're going to ask about the videos, about, you know, do you upload them? Are they anywhere? And then you get found out and that's your whole thing gone. And again, I get it. It's part of the game. It's part of the whole thing, is coming up with a story. And so I'm not mad about it at all. Of course. It's just one of those things that's, as I'm watching these videos, I just think, just why you just say I was camping, because it's just what I do. I like camping, so I was doing it. And you can go fuck yourself. You fucking cunt. Go fucking fuck off. Fuck you. Fuck, tell me what to do, you piece of shit. I'll fucking rip your tits off and eat them. Fucking bitch. Fuck. Anyway, that was this week's minor gripe. Beverage of the week. Take a look at an art book. And now we've got a minor gripe of the week. Stealth camping. Just fucking say that's why you're there. Just whatever. I did and do have a main topic of discussion for today, which I'm sure I probably would have put in the thumbnail or title or whatever somewhere. Winning at whatever the fuck it is I'm talking about this week. At its most basic, the thing is, I used to be fucking weird. From my own perception, my own perspective, my own point of view, I used to be a fucking weirdo. Just fucking weird to the point of it, you know, being detrimental, which maybe it's not the best thing, but it used to be like how best to describe it? I could have thought ahead and thought of how best to describe it. I hate this drawing. I don't like it at all. This drawing should be weird, or it should be fucking crazy bonkers bananas. The nose should be here, eyes here, eye like this. Mouth should be bigger. God, I've got to fucking redo everything because I'm shit. And I hate myself for being such a shit. Trying to map it all out and get it like, I'll do this here, make sure the sizing's appropriate for the, and then just abandon it all because I'm a ball bag. But I used to be a fucking weirdo, and it was fantastic. And the shit I did was weird, the shit I said was weird, and it was fun and enjoyable. And I truly think, certainly in the last couple of years, maybe even last year, I've lost a large chunk of that. And I don't want to put this out there as like, oh, I used to be weird and fun and now I'm not. Oh, isn't that annoying? Like, it's truly, I mean this so genuinely, truly and honestly. It's kind of tearing me apart inside. That I feel like I am lacking something, like I have lost something in me, is not there anymore, and I'm worse off for it. I feel like I'm less interesting. I feel like I'm less fun, less funny. I feel like I'm less creative. I feel like I'm better in terms, apart from this fucking bullshit, I'm better artistically in terms of what I'm physically capable of doing. My artistic skill has improved. But in terms of creativity and ideas, I feel like I've just got almost fucking completely run out. I don't know. I don't do anything fun or exciting or weird. I've lost my weird. I don't know where it's gone. I have a couple of ideas as to possible causes of this lack of weird or loss of weirdness. But it might sound silly. It may. I'm aware it might come across as like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Just, there may be, maybe you've even noticed. Some of you might have noticed. I don't know if it's, since I decided to stop saying certain words that I have deemed inappropriate, or if it's, maybe I'm too woke. Maybe going woke has caused me to become less weird, less fun, less funny. But I feel it when I'm having conversations with people. I don't know, at some point I felt a need to be normal, to be liked, because if I'm too weird then I'm off-putting. But then some people like that, and it's what I said before about being an artist is you be you, be truly authentically yourself. If you're an artist, if you're filthy and weird and off-putting, then that's fine as long as you're you, and the people that like you for that are the best people because they're the realest motherfuckers and they'll stick around, and they're gonna be there for you because they are there for you. That's why they are there in the first place. But and I don't think all of this is necessarily because of me trying to be normal, to fit in, maybe to get a relationship or something, but I feel it. I feel like I'm talking to people, certainly recently, I've got less fun or funny, interesting things to say. I can come up with less shit to say. There's something's gone, and I'm struggling. I'm truly struggling with What? With what? I'm struggling with whatever the fuck it is. I want it back. I want my weird back. I don't know how to get it. Here's a fucking book. A little bit from the past, really. I've definitely shown this on the podcast before, but it may have been years upon years upon years ago that I did such. Juxtapose illustration. I don't find as many books like this nowadays, or maybe I do, where it's collections of artists' work of an illustration sort of variety. That might be a thing I just made up. Maybe there are loads of books. There's that dark arts one that I looked at a little while ago. Anyway, I was looking through other books a week or so ago, and this one was amongst the pile, and I picked it out and I was like, oh shit, I haven't looked at this thing in years. Literally years. And I remember really liking it. I remember there's a lot of art in this book that I liked. So I thought, why not fucking look at it again? Maybe we'll get some inspiration. Maybe we'll find some shit to mock and laugh at. Maybe I'll be able to poke fun at what I used to think was cool, and what I now realise is fucking stupid. Like your mum. I mean, she must have been stupid if she gave birth to you. Oh, well, okay, straight away. Around the time I got this book, it was like 2010, I guess. 2008, okay. I was looking at Juxtapose a lot in general. I don't really care for it much nowadays. Even back then it was getting shitty. But you know, the website I regularly looked at, the magazines when I could. And around the time this book came out, I feel like this guy, Kelsey Brooks, suddenly started showing up. I'd never heard of him before, and I suddenly started seeing his work a lot. And right from the start, I really, really disliked it. There's just something about it that I find... Actually, there's several things about it that I find incredibly unappealing. I just don't like it. I don't find it interesting in terms of subject matter, composition, design choices, colour. There's like nothing about it. Like even in terms of you know, sometimes you can appreciate the artistic skill that's gone into something, regardless of if it really looks good. But I don't even like the way anything looks in how it's made. I don't like the sort of drawing, painting style. I don't like any of it. I feel like the rendering on the skin, which he uses in all of these pieces, is like, I'm not a perfect painter. I fully get that. I'm not sitting here going, I could do better. But looking at this as an art appreciator, in terms of looking at art as a thing to look at and also a thing that's fun to create, I find the rendering of the skin, it feels very amateurish. It feels like I'm looking at the work of like a college student doing big oil paintings based on life drawings they did from a life drawing class, but then trying to make them weird and quirky by putting a cat's head with extra eyes, and then this arm's bigger and this arm's smaller, and they've got different coloured hands. I don't like these things, these like diamond patterns he draws around them. I don't like the diamond collage patterns, the weird flower drawings, the composition of the piece as a whole, the pose is unappealing. I mean, maybe everything I've said is the point, but I don't find them engaging. I don't find them interesting. I don't find them cool, fun, funny. Like, yeah, put an animal head on the body of a naked person and call it a piece of art. I don't like any of it. I think it's all really bad. I could probably spend the next half hour just talking about that, but I won't. I'll leave. I'll just say, Kelsey Brooks, I never. Sorry, Kelsey Brooks, I never liked your artwork. I only say that because I'm confident I will never cross paths. I assume with Kelsey Brooks, but David Cho, I'm in a constant back and forth about whether or not I like David Cho. Some days I do, some days I don't. It depends on the moon or something. I don't know. Mickey Duzige. That's actually a really cool drawing. I don't think I appreciated that at the time. Or even that. That's pretty fucking fantastic. I quite like that vibe, like panoramic, lots of characters. There's a lot going on. That's a pretty good drawing. I really like that. I think that's cool. That's got a lot to it. And very similar to this piece. I like there's one girl at the Star Trek convention and all the nerd guys are all like sweating and nervous. And she's nervous as well because she's the only fucking girl at the Trekkie convention. Oh, Jeremy Fish. Now, right, so this, yeah. This is a good example of something I've sort of spoken about before in terms of like graffiti as an example and other art. But like how some artists do their work really technical and crazy and detailed and pack it with as much shit as possible, but then sometimes somewhere down the line they start to sort of take out the unnecessary parts and try to boil it down to just the basic anatomy of the piece of art, like what is necessary to make this image say what I want it to say. And I feel like Jeremy Fisher's art, this is one I really liked around the time when I got this book because it's quite a cool, almost graffiti character graphic style, and there's just stuff going on, and they're cool drawings. They're well drawn, very bold graphic images. But for me now, I look at this, and it's very much on the early end of that spectrum, where all I see now, really, when I look at this artwork, is just a bunch of random stuff thrown together, and it doesn't speak to me in anywhere near the same way it used to. Like, okay, sloth and a vehicle that's got feet instead of wheels, and there's a skull on it, and there's this guy in pajamas and a nightcap with a crown and wings, and crowns and wings are motifs. I mean, the idea is animal, car, skull, wings, crown, animal, wings, or crown, not wings, but, and like, yeah, rabbit, deer with a gun, snout, this woman who's a queen holding a fishbowl. Like, it's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. It's just, if that's what your art is, if that's how you express yourself, cool. But me looking at this now as opposed to looking at it years and years ago, this stuff does not interest me as it used to. It's just a random bunch. It reminds me of how I used to draw when I was a teenager, when I thought it would be cool and fun and funny to just draw random stuff, like, oh, a chair and a gas mask and a tree with muscles and a lizard here and a dead rat and a skull and another skull and a zombie with its dick. Just stuff. Just like, what is it? What are you trying to do? If all you're doing is drawing, then it's fine. But what's the thing you know. And art doesn't have to have a thing. It doesn't have to have a meaning. Because these are cool images. They look cool. They would look cool on T-shirts or whatever. If that was painted on a wall that I walked past, I'd be like, oh, that's quite cool. It looks quite cool. So that it's fine for them to do that. But again, as a personal note for myself and how I approach art nowadays, I need a little bit more substance, you know, just a little bit more. Mike Giant, a legend in his own right, with what he does and who he is. Largely, his work is based around this sort of traditional tattoo style, which doesn't really speak to me. Never really has. It's not my vibe, my aesthetic. Obviously, I don't really give a shart for tattoos, for having them. I can appreciate them as good pieces. That's a killer drawing. I think that's a really, really nice piece. I like the spray paint bits interwoven with the dragon. It's a really, really cool piece of artwork. And they're cool drawings, very, very cool drawings. But the style and what they represent, the culture they are a part of, is not really a thing. Grotesque. I feel like he was huge around this time as well. I was seeing him everywhere and suddenly I'm not. But not suddenly, but over the years just haven't seen much of him. But maybe I don't look in those places. I appreciate the bold graphic style for what it is, but I like his choice of colours as well. But I do prefer drawings that look like drawings as opposed to drawings that look like graphic design or whatever. I like all the signs and stuff, and he's obviously just robbed this store with all the... So I like it. It's a cool image, but not one I'd seek out. Toma Hanukkah, I don't know how it's pronounced. Fucking incredible. I don't look at enough of his work, but I should. I assume this is like a Life of Pi thing. That tiger's fucking great. That's fucking fantastic. That's such a cool, gorgeous piece of art. Like, it's just a fantastic drawing as it is. The hyena in the body of the deceased zebra. But also the style choices, like the flat colours of the zebra, but then the more textured, detailed hyena with more tone and body to it, but then still with flat colour here and there. That's a really, really nice bit. And just, I mean, a great drawing in terms of like anatomy and position and stuff of the hyena, the shapes and such. That's really, really nice. I love how he draws bodies, these long-limbed, lithe bodies that he does. Really interesting shapes in the bodies that he draws. I was going to say like post-apocalyptic vibes, but probably more likely current Warzone vibes, which feels relevant to today. I believe he's a child of immigrants, or is an immigrant himself, so he understands the immigrant story. So there's a bit of like context to this kind of artwork. Graphic design. It's got some texture to it. It's got some life. I quite like it. But this feels very much of its time. This feels early 2000s, like indie graphic design kind of stuff. Like that could be 1,000 different album covers, website headers, popular portraits and stuff. Aaron Hawkey. I feel like the work in this book doesn't do his work justice. I mean, this might have just been what he was creating around that time. But like, if you follow him on Instagram and look at his cross-hatching stuff, it is ridiculous. Like, the level of detail, but also the level of control and almost physical, like, substance that you can feel in his cross-hatching is just almost beyond belief. It's so So fucking good. I love the lettering though. The lettering's really, really nice. I assume that's hand drawn, or at least like, even if it's digital, it's I assume it's drawn by hand digitally. Really, really nice lettering in those pieces. A man who really needs no introduction. It has to be one of the most sort of like popular, famous, contemporary artist illustrators of our time. I don't think there's an artist alive who doesn't know who the fuck James Jean is, because he just good, isn't he? That does happen with these books a lot, though. They have examples of an artist's work, but I feel like there are many better examples of their work they could be showing. Maybe that's not the point, and maybe the artist submitted work to be shown, and maybe it's particular favourite pieces of the artists. And there are some good pieces shown, but even from this era of James Jean, I feel like he had some much better, more interesting work he could have put in here. Cozy and Dan, husband and wife illustrators, work together as Cozy and Dan. I have an odd dislike of artist team-ups that are couples. I've seen a few of them, and I don't tend to like their output. And that might be just down to the artists themselves. And like, for instance, I kind of like some of the ideas in some of this work, but I'm not thrilled or moved by the style of their work, the style of illustration that they have. It's just not quite, just doesn't do it for me. It's not really my thing. Christopher Lee, the actor. I didn't know he was a graphic artist, illustrator, as well as being a very, very well-renowned actor. I think he killed Nazis as well, so that's cool. Travis Millard has been one of my favourites for a long, long time. I don't think I really speak about him that much because I don't feel like I see much of his stuff around. I follow him on Instagram. He's a good follow on Instagram. But I love his drawings. They've got so much character. I love his line work, his texture, the little characters he draws, the shapes he uses. I really, really do like his stuff. He's a great drawer, a great draftsman. That's brilliant. I like his ideas as well. This is the sort of thing that's like, you don't know what's going on, but you don't really need to know. It's just a cool image. These faces are all great. Bigger ones, smaller ones. Just the texture and the life in each of the faces is really, really good. That's one of my favourites of his and has been for a long, long time. I love it so much. And I've, partly because of this, but partly outside of it, I've sort of recreated or used this kind of thing as a basis for my own work many, many, many times, of like two very similar looking people, if not like a clone or whatever, clones of each other fighting each other in a sort of cyclical thing. It's really raw and visceral and grimy and horrible. I love all the lines in the flesh pulling down, just the texture and the little, just everything. It's such a great piece. It's really simple, but like, it works. It's really rather good. Mode 2, a legend from graffiti. Also a pervert who draws good bodies and shit. Really good drawings. Amazing mark making in these pieces. Those faces are great. His hatching in that. And the texture of this is really, really good. A really good one for representation of black culture within his work. I think that's really important and impressive. Stuff like this is sort of, you know, it's cool enough, but yeah, it's not really my thing. There's a certain aesthetic, certain vibe that I can understand why people would like it, but it's not for me. Alex Pardee. Now, Alex Pardee and I are not acquainted, but I do believe him and I have some mutual friends that I think I could safely say that I think we have at least a couple of mutual friends. So I might be careful what I say just in case. But I've never found myself to be a fan of Mr. Pardee's work. I think, to be honest, I think a part of it is I feel like Alex Pardee is somebody who a lot of artists who like this kind of juxtaposed kind of artwork really, really like or love Alex Pardee's work. And because lots and lots of people really like his work, I find myself saying, nah, I'm not gonna do that. It's just not really what I'm into. There's some really nice drawings by San. Love that. That's fucking fantastic. Really, really nicely done. The shape and the movement in the tentacles, the texture, the layers of watercolours and inks in the water, the colours used. Just that in itself is just so like if that was a piece just on its own, or like a big, just as a painting itself, that would just be really, really nice. I've probably tried to draw and paint this exact thing because of this many, many times. And I'm a natural lover of octopus and squids anyway, so it fits my interests. Oh, this isn't the main one, is it? There's what's her name, like Audrey Kawasaki or something, who's like a big... Her art looks almost exactly like this, but maybe a bit better. Now, this is something I can say is not for me. Like, this artwork is really, really not created with me as a type of person in mind. I am not the target audience for this kind of quaint, cute, thoughtful, feminine artwork. And I say feminine in the most loving way, because this is very feminine artwork. It's clearly made in a feminine way, with a feminine mindset. It depicts what are typically feminine things, and I mean that not in a way that it's like fucking feminine. I mean it's an aesthetic, and I'm a smelly piece of shit, and I sit here going, this artwork's shit, I could do loads better, what's the fucking point? Put me in a book, put me in your fucking illustration book, you cunts. That's how I am. So I don't really, I appreciate the everything about this artwork. The skill, the technique, the visuals, the vibe of it all. The limited colour palette I really appreciate. sometimes that can be difficult to pull off. But it's clearly not for me, and that's about where my appreciation stops, because I realise that's it. That's all there is. I quite like Jeff Soto. I don't know if that's how his name's pronounced. A slightly verging on just random stuff. But he makes some pleasing shapes, pleasing colour combinations and shapes and compositions. And like he has, you know, his little like robot alien characters in this world he creates. And that is something. Like, this feels more comprehensive than fully random, because each piece feels like it is part of a world he's created. These alien landscapes and alien creatures and things. So these weird little box alien creature things. They fit within the world he's created. So it can appear random, but it has some sort of solid base that it's working from. I feel like these circles and rings were everywhere around this time. That was a really popular design element I was seeing in like graphic design and adverts and all kinds of shit. Yeah, his work, you know, it's not something I'd really actively seek out, but when I see it, I kind of do appreciate it. I think it's pretty cool. You get some nice textures and colours and shapes and things. It's pretty good. Baron Story's a legend in his own right. I don't know much about him. He was an early mentor of David Cho, I know that much. But also, I think he did like official illustrations for NASA. Like, they got him to draw like technical illustrations of rocket ships and interiors and engine parts and stuff. Well, yeah, you can see he has some sort of mind for mechanical objects and depicting them through drawing engine parts and things. I don't think I'm making that up. I believe I have seen images of that, of like, you know, where they have something like this, which is a drawing of a thing with like a part cut away and you can see the insides and the workings and stuff. I think he's drawn stuff like that of rocket ships and stuff for NASA. Which, I mean, as far as illustration jobs go, that's got to be a pretty fucking good one. Old favourite, Nate Van Dyke. I think I can consider him a friend, a bit of a distant friend, but we chat now and then. I mean, if it's not cool enough that he's got this monkey character, Dutch, chimp, monkey, ape, whatever, this violent, drunken ape guy with a chainsaw who's just fucking cool. I love it and always have loved his art, his line work, because he does very, very intricate hatching. Follow him on Instagram and look at some of his hatching work. Insane levels of detail and hatching that he uses. But also these bigger, broader, more brash, almost more violent strokes that he uses. A lot of texture, splats and hatches and things. Really, really do like his work. Like, how can you not love that? That's fucking great. Wearing the thing's severed head with his tongue wrapped around. Great lines, great texture, great life. And I know I have mentioned it before, but there's a page torn out here because I drew a picture of Dutch just for fun. But then me and Nate got talking because we're pals, you know. So I sent him some stuff, only some art books and drawings and things, including that drawing of Dutch. I also sent him this page I'd torn out and asked him to sign it and send it back to me. That was quite a number of years ago now, and he still hasn't returned it. A couple of times he has messaged to be like, "Oh, so sorry, I haven't got around to it. I haven't forgotten. I will get to it." And I know life happens, so I'm not like mad or upset about it. It's a thing that like it's I haven't paid for it. I just sent it to him in hopes that he'd sign it and send it back. So it's a thing I don't have, and hopefully one day it might show up, and I'll have this page torn out of a book that's actually signed by the artist whose work is printed on the page. So that would be a cool thing to have. But I'm not like aggressively like, oh, I fucking want it. It's whatever. And that's the end of that. So this loss of weirdness that I'm feeling, I'm not necessarily trying to directly relate it or to equate it or attribute it. That's the word. Not directly trying to attribute it to the loss of my sister, who just over a year ago sadly passed away of a very, very violent form of cancer. But I have been feeling recently, I stated before at some point how when she died I was obviously broken up about it and sad and distraught, especially after talking to her a day before she died and hearing, like, it sounded like she was not long for this world. It was difficult to talk to her. And then to get off the phone with her afterwards, it was, I broke down because I was just, she could barely form a sentence. I was struggling to understand what she was saying. She was trying to talk, but it was really hard to sit with that. And she passed away, and I was upset, but I've lost people in the past, and it's one of those things that is going to happen, and I don't necessarily deal with it, but like, you have to accept it. The person is gone, and it is what it is. So I think maybe that's where I was in the immediate time after she passed away. But over the next several months, sort of from the middle towards the end of last year, I felt it starting to affect me more and more. I was feeling more and more upset that she was gone. I was more and more hurt, and that's what I spent most of the latter half of last year in, shorts and my bathrobe, rarely leaving the house. I basically left the house to get food and to go to the post office, and that was about it. I had a really difficult time for a large portion of last year, and it's been, this year I'm trying to ewan wins, and I'm trying to get the spirit up, do all the stuff, and fuck it. It's not always easy, there are difficult times. But lately, I've really been feeling that, and I'm not saying this is the case, it's just how it feels. Like, if I sit with how I'm feeling and think about it, it feels like a part of my voice is shaking because it is emotional. It feels like a part of me has broken off and died with the loss of my sister. We were close here and there over the years. There was a period of time in my sort of early to mid-teen years. We were talking on the phone daily. We played Magic the Gathering, the card game, over the phone. We trusted each other enough not to like lie and make up rules or whatever, or just say we were winning when we weren't. She had a deck and I had a deck, and we'd lay them out, and she'd tell me what she's got, I'd tell her what I've got, and we figured out a way to play over the phone. which was really, really cool. I don't know if she was even that into it, but she did it. She had her own cards, and she did that. And she was very creative. She had that picture she painted of me. If you know what that is, you know. If you don't, it's whatever. She painted a picture of me when I was 2 years old, and she was 17. She's 15 years older than me. She has a different dad, and whatever. So she always drew and painted. Mum found loads of her old drawings and paintings when they were going through her belongings after she died, including that painting she had done of me. Later in life and towards the end, she made jewellery. I remember I saw this tiara she made. It was like made out of wire, and the wire bits that came up from the base and curled around and then held these gemstones. Yeah, she's really, really creative, really talented, really, really good. And I think that's where I felt a connection to her way more so than I do either of my brothers. Because my brothers just don't have that creative spark. I know one of them's a musician, if you can call it that, but not remotely in the same sort of creative way that my sister was creative. And so losing my sister, even though I was saying we were close here and there over the years, but towards the end we hadn't really spoken that much, hadn't seen her that often for various reasons, but it was the case that we just hadn't been terribly close in the last few years. But even so, even with that fact, I felt a connection to her that I didn't feel with really anyone else in my family. My horrendously, strictly religious mum, my very standoffish, very masculine dad, my boring as fuck brothers. And then there was my really cool creative sister. She was goth for years and years and years, like a proper black clothes, dyed hair, pale makeup, piercings, tattoos, goth girl for many, many years. She was a really cool, creative person. And I think the more time has gone on since she's passed away, the more I really feel like I have lost something like inside of me. And it might just be a coincidence that has coincided with this loss of weirdness that I feel. I don't know if those two are the same thing, or if they are at least in some way related to one another. But I definitely feel I'm lacking something that I had previously, and I want it back. I fucking want it back. So I need to fart. I farted, but I covered the noise with groans. I have a fucking black. I have several, but do any of them work? So, right. So now the issue is what to do. That was we've gotten the emotional bit out of the way. The rest of it shouldn't be too much like that. Well, I don't know. I won't promise that. We don't know. We'll see. So if I've lost, if the fear is I've lost my weirdness, can I get it back? Is it a thing that can be re-found or regrown? Can it be re-obtained? Can my weirdness come back? Now, the issue is I can at least try to be weird. I can try to act more weird. But the danger is that it will come across that I'm trying to be weird. Because I have known and sadly to this day do still know an annoying number of people who are performatively odd or weird. They, you know, we all do it as teenagers. We want to be seen in a certain way, so we actively act a certain way. We try to be weird, we try to be quirky and random, try to be artistic, we try to be this, try to be that. And I know people, I'm not going to say who they are because I guess they'll know, won't they? Even if they won't admit it, they'll know it in their hearts. I know people like that, and it's sad to see in a way, but it's just the weirdness comes off like a performance, and it's not genuine, it's not honest. And I worry that if I start trying to be weird, to try to maybe ignite whatever weird flame was in me, that I will appear as though I'm trying to be weird. I feel it here as well. I feel like I'm less entertaining than I used to be. I may be better in terms of like what I can put out artistically, but even then, I feel like I was doing better stuff. I've looked at some of my old stuff that I produced during the podcast, and I'm like, shit, that was really good. Why the fuck am I so boring now? Where did that Ewan go? And I feel like that was weird Ewan. Weird, fucking funny, odd, weird Ewan. And that Ewan wasn't trying to be weird. He just was just was that. And now what? Am I just normal now? Like the worst thing an artist could ever be is just fucking normal. Some normal person. Ugh. Horrendous. So that's my quest, I think, is to find, not just to find my weirdness again, but like to find if I can if my weirdness is a thing that can be recaptured. If I can be weird again, is it possible? Is it possible to be fucking weird? Do I have to talk like this all the time? Do I have to scream and shit my pants? Oh! Is that weird or is that just annoying? And is that me actively trying to be weird for the sake of trying to be weird? Or is that just how I would normally act because I'm just fucking weird? And I'll be clear, there is bad weird. There's good weird and there's bad weird. I've always felt, not always, there have been times, there was one specific time I remember a girl named Amy who, I made a 9/11 joke at school. And I thought it was funny. No one else laughed. And this girl, Amy, was sat opposite me it was in science. She was sat on the opposite side of the table. She looked at me completely deadpan and was like, "You're weird." And I said sorry. I was like, "Oh, sorry." And I put my head down. And she was like, "No, it's a good thing, but you're just fucking weird." And I was like, "Well, I don't know what that means." And back then, I was 13, maybe 14. Childhood memories mean a lot to me because I have trouble letting go. But yeah, back then I didn't understand what the difference was. Because when you're weird, it's not a thing. You don't know you're being weird. So for somebody to say you're weird, it didn't. I wasn't gonna be like, "Oh, thank you, I tried to." It was just like, "Oh, someone's just said I'm weird. I guess they didn't like what I said. I should stop doing it." But no, she was like, "No, it's an okay thing. Keep it up, weirdo. Just, just be aware that's what you are, you fucking weirdo." And that's all you're gonna be until you lose it and have an existential crisis about it. And then I killed that girl. I twisted her head until it came off. And I put my knob in it. I wasn't hard, I just sort of... Just in whatever bit of her head I could get it into. I think pretty much since then I've known I'm good weird. Because there is bad. Because there's the kid at school whose name was Richard. He was one of several Richards. Apparently Dick is short for Richard, and that's really funny. Who he never cut his nails, and at one point in secondary school never cut his hair. I think rarely washed it as well. He was just like long haired, long nails, greasy, and just like the bad kind of weird, you know. Well, I had some self-awareness, but he ate worms. He's the kid who'd be like, "Do you dare me to eat worms?" And we'd be like, "No, don't eat the worms." And then he'd eat the worms, and it's like, don't. Like, he literally did that. It's just, no one wants to hang around that person. Don't do that. And cut your nails. Sure, guys can have long nails, but there's a difference between choosing to have long nails as a stylistic choice and just never cutting your nails, because there's lines, there's nuance to it all. There's nuance to the weirdness. And I was a good weird, damn it. Maybe I still am, I don't know. You tell me if you think I'm being preposterous, if I'm just being a silly twat, if I'm seeing or feeling something that isn't actually there. Maybe I'm feeling a lack of weirdness, but maybe to all of you I'm completely fucking weird in a good way. Obviously I know it would be a good way if you said I'm weird. I'd know you. It's a good kind of, obviously it's a good kind of weird. Ewan's only gonna be a good kind of weird. It's not gonna be a bad kind of weird, is it? It's Ewan. Ewan's the best. Ewan's the fucking best. Ewan wins consistently, constantly, forever and ever. But I feel it. And I feel it's affecting relationships. Maybe people thought I was really fun and funny and weird and interesting. And maybe lately I'm not that. And I'm less fun to talk to because I'm less weird. There does come a point when you're like talking to a person where like, you know, they like talking to you because you're fucking weird and silly. But even then it gets to a point where you're like, oh, they're here now, I've got them trapped in my web of friendship, but now I don't want to lose them, so I've got to try to be normal and likable so they like me for being normal. And then if that starts, maybe it doesn't stop. I don't know. It's an odd thing. This is something I've never felt before. Truly, I've never felt this kind of... It's a loss. I'm feeling loss. Not the loss of like a person, a friend or a loved one or a family member, but a loss of part of myself. And I don't know, I don't have the mechanisms inside me that would allow me to cope with it, because it's not something I have. Oh, that didn't work, did it? That was fucking shit and silly. Let's ruin everything. Cool. It's my favourite thing to do, so just ruin everything. Now my hand stinks. I thought that would be a decent white Posca marker that I could fucking make highlights with, but no, they're all shit. Everything's shit forever. And so that's where I'm at. That's my current crisis. I want to be more weird. but I don't want to appear like I'm trying to be weird, because I want it to be a genuine weird. Do I have to start saying slurs? Is that it? Is that going to be... Will that make me good weird enough? I mean, no, obviously, I'm not going to... I could, but I'm not going to. I could do a lot of things, and I'm not gonna do a lot of things just because I could do a lot of things. Do you like this book, by the way? I showed a book similar to this a little while ago, a bigger format book. That's pictures of walls that are, the book is made so you can... This white is not drying, so that's just shit. Fucking... whatever to that bullshit. I think my grey ran out some time ago, so I don't think that's going to work for the... Yeah, nothing. No grey for the blade of the machete. Put some shitty purple on there and call that done. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. The book! Isn't it cool? It's all... This is Wall's notebook. And it's a whole notebook of walls. Which is actually really cool. But it's a book I've always thought about using and doing stuff with. Like, the artistic possibilities are pretty vast. Because you can draw stuff just for the sake of it, just for random drawings. But you can also draw stuff to make it look like it's actually on the wall, graffiti or just drawings or whatever. You could probably cut bits out. Like, you could cut a square out of here, and then you'd be able to see this wall through it. You could do cool stuff like that. There's a lot of possibilities for a book like this, and it's really nice, like matte, uncoated paper. So ink takes to it really well. I was a little bit worried about the Posca pens. I wasn't sure if they'd take to it, but they seem to very, very well, actually. So that's a good thing. And I just thought it would make for a nice little sort of canvas for some doodling today while I have a crisis at you. While I worry about me. Oh, listen to me talk about me some more. Hi, welcome to my podcast where I talk about me. Me, and me. Listen to me talk about me while I draw things for me. I like me, bloody me.